Good morning, one and all. Myself, A. Rajita, DL in Computer Science, TTWRDC, Women, Jangam. So, as a part of a best lecture conducted by the Tribal Welfare Society, so I am giving lecture on graph, that is a nonlinear data structure. So, in this lecture, my objectives are: what is data structure, importance of data structure, so how this data structure is used in real life, different data structures, and graph data structure, graph terminology, graph representations, and graph traversals. Last, graph applications. So first of all, we are discussed about before discussing the graph data structure, first we are going to discuss about what is data. Here, data in the sense, data nothing but we know that everything we can call it as in data. That is the quantities or characters or symbols on which operations are performed by a computer. So after completion of operation which gives some result, that is also again we can call it as a data. So the data which may be stored and transmitted in the form of electrical signals and recorded on magnetic, optical or mechanical media. Okay, here you can see the one of the example, C equal to A plus B. So in this C, A, B, so these three are the quantities or data. Here this expression gives the addition of two numbers, that means addition operation is performed on this data, that is A and B. The result is stored into this C. So result is stored into C. Now here suppose if the expression is like this, we know we are easily understand it is a arithmetic expression. Suppose if A, B, C like that given, so then we are not understanding like this, A is equal to A plus B. So that means data is in the form of raw facts. Suppose here you can observe data. Suppose here some letters A, H, T, I, J, A like this. Some jumbled form, some collection of characters are there. Now this collection of characters is called also data. Okay, so now it is in unintelligible format, or this is not understand by us. So now when this is understand, that means it is converted into some understandable format, that is called as information. For that, when data becomes information, so with this is also data and this is also data, both of these data. Now this is in understandable manner, that's why just this is the raw facts. Now coming to this one, information. Here now this is what my name is Rajita, so that now it is some readable format, some understandable format, that is data becomes information. Okay, so how it is possible? That means here if data is arranged in a systematic way, then it get a structure and became meaningful. So if data is arranged, suppose you can see this example, here the data is arranged in some systematic manner, then we can understand easily and it become efficient. Okay, so that is this meaningful or processed data is called as information. That means the data is the raw facts, information is the processed data, the meaningful data or processed data, that is called as information. So to provide this type of information, here we are using some appropriate way to structure the data into information. For that we are using some data structures. Okay, so to provide an appropriate way to structure the data, in the sense what, process the data, or we can provide some meaningful data, that is what called as a information. That means to provide the information we require some appropriate way, so for that we need some data structure. Okay, now what is data structure? Here a data structure, so that just now I can told that one thing, information is nothing but processed data. For providing this processed data, some appropriate way is required. That for that we need some data structure. Means a data structure is a systematic way to organize the data. For that, to change the data into information, here we require some data. Here we require some data structure. Here we require some data structure. So this is the systematic way to organize the data so that it can be used efficiently. Okay, efficiently means how efficiently, based on the time or based on the space. So this what we have discussed in the latter. And coming to here arrays concept, that means one of the example for data structure is the arrays. That means suppose some group of students or group of employees are there. How we can identify those employees or students? Through some IDs, by using some IDs. Okay, that means every student has some student ID, every employee has its own employee IDs. So because of why we are using, instead of names we are using here employee IDs, because the names are duplicated. So that's why we are using, instead of names we are using some IDs. So for everyone, each and every one we can identify by using some unique number, whether those are the students or whether those are the employees. We can use some student some IDs. So for that, identifying each and every student or each and every employee, we can use some ID. We can use some ID. That for that entity different IDs are required. So instead of creating more number of or multiple IDs, we are creating only one variable. So that is the array variable. So that should hold all these IDs. That means array means what? Here array is nothing but it is a data structure. It stores some group of similar data elements. So why we are creating multiple variables? Instead of creating the multiple variables of same type, here I am creating only one array variable. So this array variable can store all the student IDs or all the employee IDs. Okay, this is one example for data structure. So for arrays. And coming to the strings. So here you can observe string is also some array. So it is string contains some sequence of characters. So for maintaining the strings also we require some arrays. Okay. So here these are the examples for arrays. This is what example. One more example. One of the example here. Suppose you can observe here. Stack is one example. So stack is one type of data structure. Okay. So this stack data structure is used in implementing undo and redo operations. So what is undo and redo operations? Here what is the undo and redo operations? You can see here. Suppose you know that in Word or any PowerPoint or anywhere. So undo means we require some previous data. Suppose here, suppose some previous, suppose you are typing something. So after some time, you require its previous data, or you once again you repeat previous changes. So how it is possible? So for that, here stack data structure is used. So whenever you can press Ctrl Z, so previous operations are repeated. So for example, suppose here the real life examples, this is some sentence. So this real life is stored like this. So this is what the real life. So examples. Suppose I am P. So I forget this P. Okay. So that. So if it is, you can press the Ctrl Z. So whenever you can press this Ctrl Z, so our information is only up to real life. So in this case, this examples is stored here. Examples. So example, that means P is not there. So this is stored here. Suppose whenever you can press this control Y, this is the redo operation. That means stop. That means recently whatever the action is performed, that is repeated. That is repeated. So for that, this undo and redo operations are performed by using this stack data structure. And one more thing, that is what one more data structure is arrays. Suppose here you can observe this is the screen. Okay, so suppose on this screen, suppose some bitmap image is stored. How it is possible? Image, how the image is displayed on the monitor. So for that, here the screen contains some number of pixels. Each and every stores some tiny data, some small amount of data. So that suppose here this is what the screen. So here this is the array data structure. Here this is the 2 by 2 matrix, means 2-dimensional array. So in this case, this is some pixel location. Here what color is applied here? So you can identify. That means suppose in this location, in this pixel, what color you can apply, so that the picture is formed on this screen. So this is for the example for array. Okay, and that means which data structure is used to store as a bit store, and which data structure is used to store an image as bitmap. Okay, then next one more example is to store the friendship information. That means for storing the friendship information, which data structure is used? That is a graph data structure is used. That means suppose here A is some person, B is another person. So here for in the social network, that is for example Facebook. So here how the friendship relation is maintained through the graph. Suppose A is friend to B, and B is friend to C, and that means A and B both are friends, B and C both are friends. Okay, A and B both are friends, B and C both are friends. Next here D. Here AD both are friends and DC both are friends. Okay, so whenever you can open Facebook, suppose you can open some friend, automatically mutual friends are open. Okay, mutual friends are displayed. How it is for that? Here graph data structure is used. So this is for the graph data structure. Okay, so these are the some examples. Now, what is the formal definition for this data structure? That means a data structure is the organization of the data in a way so that it can be used efficiently. So here data structure means how the data become information. So what is the importance of information? That is some organization of data. That means some processed data is provided. That is possible through this data structure. So what is the usage of this data structure? So whenever we can organize the data in some systematic way, it can use it efficiently. So what is the efficiently? That means efficiency in the sense, here efficiently means based on the time and based on the space. Okay, sometimes user can select the data structure based on time, based on its requirement. So if it's the requirement, that means retrieving is very fast, that means the user can focus on the retrieval, so that the efficiency depends on the time. Sometimes the user can focus on memory. In that case, efficiency depends on the space. So sometimes time and space both are required. So then efficiency focus on time as well as space. That means a data structure is the organization of the data in a way so that it can be used efficiently. That means whatever the data structure we are selected, so that data structure provides some organized organization of data. That organization of data data in a way so that it can be used efficiently. That means organization data purpose means it is used efficiently. Okay, here data structure is used implement and edit. That means how the data structure is implement. That means how the data structure is implemented so that data structure can use the ADT. Here ADT means abstract data type. That is ADT tells us what is to be done and data structure tells us how to do it. And coming to this ADT, it provides the operations. What are the different types of operations are performed on the data? That means ADT contains data as well as operations. And whereas coming to the data structure, how that operations are used. So this is the difference between the ADT and data structure. Every data structure can use some abstract data type. And so how the data structure is selected. That means in reality, different implementations of ADTs are compared for time and space complexity. So just now only I can speak about regarding this time and space efficiency. So that means suppose sometimes user focus on the time. That means speed retrieval. So in that case, ADT, that means for implementing the data structure, selection of ADT depends on the time. Sometimes that is depends on the space. So that when best suited according to the current requirement of the user will be selected. Means which data structure is selected. That means in reality, different implementations of ADT are compared for time and space efficiency. The one best suited according to the current requirement of the user will be selected. So here one of the example, that means stack ADT can be implemented using arrays and the linked list. That means stack data structure can be implemented by using arrays concept as well as linked list concept. Now these are the advantages of data structures. One is the efficiency, reusability and abstraction. That is proper, first one is efficiency. Proper choice of data structure make the program efficient in terms of space and time. That means data structure selection make the program efficient in terms of space and time. For example, suppose if you choose the arrays, so that means uh, fast retrieval is there. That means time is very less. Okay, that is efficiency means while choosing the data structure, proper choice of data structure make the program efficient in terms of space and time. And coming to the reusability, one implementation can be used by multiple clients. So one ADT, suppose one ADT, that means data structure can use different types of ADTs. So whenever the data structure is implemented by using any ADT, so that implementation can use in multiple clients. That means you can implement only one time, that can be used by multiple clients. So coming to the abstraction concept, data structure is specified by an ADT which provides a level of abstraction. That is, the client program does not have to worry about the implementation details. Means client can use the data structure. So client intention is how the data structure is used, but how that means how the data structure is implemented, that is not the intention of client. So client can use the data structure only. Client doesn't bother about how the data structure is implemented. Means abstraction means suppose if you know the driving, just you can drive the car, but you need not know about implementation. That means internal implementations of the how the car is implemented. So what type of that means mechanism is used inside. So this is not the intention of the user. Just that user knows the driving, so automatically use the car. So this is nothing but abstraction concept. That means hides the implementations, hiding the implementations from the client. So this is nothing but abstraction. So these three are the advantages of data structures. And here these are the types of data structures. So here majorly the data structure is divided into two types, that is the primitive data structure and non-primitive data structure. So primitive data structure means primitive means integral data types, floating point data types and character data types. So coming to the integral data types, integer, long, short, these are the integral data types, and floating point data types are float, double, these are the floating point data types. So character data types, so these are the primitive data structures. So coming to the non-primitive data structures, here two different data structures are there. One is a linear data structure and other one is a non-linear data structure. Coming to the non-linear data structure, here before that linear data structure, here again these linear data structures are divided into two ways, that is the static data structures and dynamic data structures. So coming to the static data structure, array is one example, and dynamic data structures, that is a linked list, stack, queues. So these two are the examples. Here non-linear data structures are two types, trees and graphs. So coming to here linear data structure, a data structure is linear means when all the elements are arranged in a sequential order, means linear form. That means here only one successor and only one predecessor. That means linear data structure, elements are data is arranged in a linear fashion, means sequential fashion, in the sense only if you take any element, suppose you can take here one element, suppose whatever the element is stored in this array in second index, so this second index element has only one predecessor and only one successor. So and coming to this first element and last element, so for this first element there is no predecessor and for this last element there is no successor. That means except first and last elements, each and every elements have only one predecessor and only one successor. So that is nothing but linear data structure. Here four different types of linear data structures are there. One is array, stack, queue, linked list. So coming to this array, so this is based on the indexes. Okay, indexes start from 0 and last index is n minus 1. So this array meaning is, so here this array stores 10 elements, so that the length of the array is here 10. Coming to this stack, here this is what the stack, so every time the element is stored here in the top only. That means this top element has no successor and first element or bottom element has no predecessor, and remaining elements have only one predecessor and only one successor. Okay, coming to this queue, this is what the queue, elements are stored at array or elements are inserted at array or means at end of the queue, and elements are deleted from the front. So this is what the first element is, nothing but front, and last element is array. So first element has no predecessor and last element has no successor. Remaining elements have only one predecessor and only one successor. So these three are the examples of linear data structure, and one more example is that is a linked list. Here you can observe this is a linked list, and this linked list here you can observe, so first element, so there is no predecessor, last element there is no successor. So first element is head pointer and last element next part is a null pointer. Okay, next, so nonlinear data structure. Here this nonlinear data structure, elements are stored in nonlinear fashion, that means not arranged in sequence, nonlinear fashion. That means manaki elements, that means a data structure is nonlinear when all the elements are not arranged in linear order, that is not arranged in linear order. Okay, so this is for the tree and this is for the graph. So here you can observe B, here it has two successor and one predecessor. Suppose you can observe here the C has one predecessor and one successor, whereas coming to this E, this has one successor one predecessor, sorry, two successors. So whereas coming to this is the graph, here you can observe this D. So this D has what, 3, 1, 2, 3 successors, and coming to the predecessors, 1, 2, 3. So these are the predecessors also, successors as well as the predecessors. Okay, means more than one successor and more than one predecessors are there. So this is for the non-linear data structure. Now, so here data structures are two types, that is linear and non-linear. So coming to this linear and non-linear data structures again implemented two ways, that is a static way and dynamic way. Means so that static data structure and dynamic data structure. So what is the static data structure? So in these type of data structures, the memory is allocated at compile time only. The memory is allocated only compile time. That means in this type of data structure, memory is allocated at compile time. What is compile time? Means maximum size, how much of size is required for implementing the data structure. So that size you can specify in the compile time only. While you are writing the program only, you have to specify how many elements are required. So that many elements requires how much of memory. So that is what you have to specify in the while you are writing the program only. So that is what the compile time. That is, for example, you can take some arrays. In the arrays concept, so whenever you are using some arrays in the program, so while you are creating the array, you have to specify how many number of elements are required. That means maximum how many number of elements you are required. That maximum size is declared while you are writing the program itself. So automatically whenever you can compile that program, so how many number of elements are required, so that much of memory is created. So that is, therefore the maximum size is fixed. Here the maximum size is fixed in static data structure. Okay, here this static data structure has two, one advantage and one more disadvantage is there. Coming to the advantage, so fast access is there. That means why this fast access? That means maximum size we know before. And one more thing, so here by in the coming to this arrays concept, so here index is there. So through the index, so that element is stored in particular memory location. So automatically that from that memory location, so the data is retrieved very fast. That is the advantage. And coming to the disadvantage, slower insertion and deletion. That means whenever, suppose if the array contains 10 elements, suppose here in the 10 elements, suppose 8 elements are already stored. Suppose my intention is, so now I am stored one element, new element at 6th index. So but the 6th index already the element is there. So before inserting the 6th element into 6th index, so first of all I can move that 6th index element to 7th index and 7th index element to 8th index and 8th index element to 9th index. So that automatically, so moving is required. That means some time wastage is there. So then after you can insert the element into 6th index. That means for inserting single element, we can move the 3 elements. So that slower insertion is there. So automatically coming to the deletion, suppose whenever you can delete one element from the array, so after deleting that element, that you are not leave that as empty, so that you can move again all those previous. That means suppose my intention is 6th index is removed, so that 7th element, 8th element, 9th element are moved its previous indexes. Okay, so this is what the disadvantage. That means from the static data structure, one advantage is this fast access is there, and slower insertion and deletions are there. So coming to the dynamic data structures, in this type of data structure, the memory is allocated at runtime. That means memory is allocated at runtime. Means, so we are not known earlier how many, that means while writing the program, we are not known how many number of elements are required. So that we are using this dynamic data structure. So as many number of elements you are stored in the runtime, you can store. So this is possible in dynamic data structures. This is not possible in static data structure. So therefore the maximum size is flexible. Okay. So for this data structure, one advantage is there as well as disadvantage is also there. So that one example for this data structure is a linked list. So here, and coming to the advantage, faster insertion and deletion. So how it is? Suppose here you can observe. In this case, suppose after this second element, I can insert one element here. So fourth element here, just you can link that fourth element link to this fourth one, and this fourth element link to this third. So there is no need to move its positions. Suppose whereas in this case, just move to all the positions. So that insertion and deletions are very fast in dynamic data structure, but coming to the retrieval is very slow, because suppose I can I want some 10th element. So compulsory you can move one by one until the 10th element. So this is what the disadvantage. Whereas in arrays, 10th element means just directly you can go to 9th index. So automatically it displays. So that means here the fast retrieval is there. Coming to the insertions and deletions are very slow. Whereas in linked list, insertion and deletions are very fast, but coming to the retrieval very slow. So dynamic example for the dynamic data structure, there is a linked list, and array is the example for the static data structure. Next, here some real life examples. So as already discussed this, to store undo and redo operations in a word processor, further stack is used to evaluate an expression. That means suppose any expression means c equal to a plus b. This is one expression. C equal to a plus b divided by c and d. So 5 into 10 divided by 2 plus something. So that this is also one expression. That this expression is evaluated by using stack only. Converting one expression, one type of expression to other type of expression. That means, for example, infix to prefix, prefix to infix. That is also possible through this stack. And to store the friendship information on a social network, so that graph data structure is used. To store an image as a bitmap, so for that arrays, that means two-dimensional array is used. To implement the printer spool, so that jobs can be printed in order of the arrival. That means suppose you can send some request to the printer, like that number of clients are connected to the printer. So which client is first processed? So that which one first, that is first processed. For that queue is used. To implement back functionality in the internet browser stack. To store the possible moves in a chess game. So there also we are using that is backtracking mechanism. There we are using graph concept. So these are the different real life examples. So this is what the introduction regarding data structures. Now we are going to discuss about graph data structure. So first of all, graph is a non-linear data structure. So these graphs are collection of nodes connected by edges. So this graph contains some collection of nodes. These collection of nodes are connected by edges. So where V is a set of nodes, that means C equal to V comma E is a graph. Here V is a set of nodes and E is a set of edges. Here these graphs are useful in a number of applications. So for finding the shortest path and maximum flow problems. For that maximum flow problems means from one place to other place you can move. So that means meanwhile different locations are there. So from which location from source to destination, in middle number of locations are there. Suppose which location you can choose, so that gives a minimum path. So that means maximum flow problem. So this also used in the networking problems also. That means whenever some cabling is there, so which one is the shortest path. So there also this graph data structure is used. So graphs, unlike trees, are more general for they can have connected components. Coming to the trees and graphs, both are the non-linear data structure. The difference between this graph and trees. So graph, every tree is a graph, but every graph is not a. That means every tree is a graph. That graph is a acyclic graph. That means there is no cycles. Whereas in graph, cycles are there. That means based on this, we can give the statement as every tree is a graph, but every graph is not a tree. That means graph is a tree is a graph, but there is no cycles. So that's why simply say that every tree is a acyclic graph, but every graph is not a tree, because graph contains some cycles, whereas in tree there is no cycles. That's why tree is a single component, graph is some number of connected components. Here two different types of graphs are there. One is directed graphs and other one is the undirected graph. So here a directed graph edges allow travel in one direction only. Suppose here two examples are there. So this is what the directed graph and this is what the undirected graph. In this directed graph, here some direction is there. That means from here you can observe this is the graph, this is undirected graph. Suppose you can observe there is no direction. How this direction is represented? By using this arrow mark. So coming to this directed graph, a directed graph edges allow travel in one direction, whereas in undirected graph edges allow travel in either direction. That means both directions. Here suppose this is undirected graph. You can observe this graph contains how many number of nodes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 nodes. That means G equal to set of vertices and set of edges. So coming to this set of vertices, here it contains 5 vertices 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whereas coming to the edges, 1, 2 is one edge, 1, comma 2. So this undirected graph edges are represented within the flower basis. This is flower basis. Okay. Here that means this symbol is the flower basis, begin symbol and end symbol, and 1 comma 2 is nothing but there is an edge exists between 1 and 2, 1 to 2 as well as 2 to 1, and both directions from 1 to 2 edges are, from 2 to 1 is also edges exist. So that's why this 1 comma 2 meaning is nothing but 1 comma 2, 2 comma 1. Here this contains 1 comma 2, 2 comma 3, 1 comma 3 and 4, 2 and 4, 5, 5, 3. So these are the edges. Okay, how many number of edges here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 edges and 5 nodes. So coming to here, how many number of vertices? 5 vertices. Coming to the edges, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Suppose here you can observe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is, there is an edge from 1 to 2 as well as 2 to 1. Suppose you can observe here 1 to 3, there is an edge from only one direction, that is 1 to 3 only. There is no edge from 3 to 1. Okay. So this undirected, in the directed graph, the edge is represented within the braces. That is, this is nothing but open braces and closed braces. This is nothing but parentheses. Okay. Flower bases, these are the parentheses. Take a parentheses and these are the flower bases. Okay. This is what the directed graph. Now, here see the graph terminology. A graph is an ordered pair. That is, this is the ordered pair. So it contains number of nodes and number of edges. Number of V is nothing but nodes and E is nothing but edges. So here, which is a set of vertices or nodes and edges that connect to them. Okay, coming to the graph. Suppose here you can observe. So this is what the graph. Okay, and subgraph in the sense, a subgraph of a graph as a subset of the vertices and edges. Here a subgraph of a graph has a subset of the vertices and edges. Means suppose 1, 2, 3. Only this is here I take only 1, 2, 3. Now this is a subgraph of this graph. Okay. And coming to edges, so it indicates how we can move through the graph. So edges purpose is how path is exists. So how that means there is a relation from this node to this node, otherwise how these are connected, so that is represented to this edge. And path, so this path is a subset of E, that is a series of edges between two nodes. That means path in the sense, suppose here 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. Suppose you can write the path between 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 5, 4. So one more path is 1, 2, 2, 2, 4 and one more path is 1, 3, 3, 5, 5, 4. So like this is what the path. So coming to this here 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is one path, 1, 2, 3 is one path and 1, 2, 2, 1 and 1, 3. So this is one path. Like that different paths are exist. So a graph is connected. So if there is at least one path between every pair of nodes. So when we say that the path is connected, that means this is the connected and this is also connected. Okay. So these two are the connected graphs. Suppose you can observe here, the graph is like this. Here suppose A, B, C, D, like this, E. Suppose you can find the path from A to E, A, B, C, next A, next D, next A, B, D, E. A, B, I am writing like this, A, B, D, E. Suppose A, B, C, A, B, D, E. So this is also one path. A, B, C, A, B, C, B, D, E. This is also one path. Okay? So you can find the path from between two vertices. So then this is called as a connected. Suppose here F is there. Now you can find the path from A to F. So there is no path exists from A to F. So then we can say that this is not connected. This is not connected graph. So suppose if the path is exists like this, then we can say that this is what, suppose if this is like this is the connected. Suppose if it is here, so this is the graph only, but this is not a connected, because here two connected components. This is one component and this is one component. Suppose if this graph contains a single component, so now it is only single component. So now we can say that this is a connected, otherwise this is not connected. Now length. So length of the path, that means the length of a path in a graph is the number of edges in the path. That is nothing but, suppose how many number of edges exist. That is, suppose here A, here B, D, C, E, here like this. That means what is the length? Suppose you can write the path for this A and B. Now A, B, C, E, A, C, E, A, D, C, E, A, D, C, E. Now the length of this is path AB is 1 edge, BC is 1 edge, CE is 1 edge. This is 3. Here the length is what? 2. Here the length is 3. That is nothing but length of a path in a graph. Length of a path in a graph So length of a path in a graph is a number of edges in the path. So when we say that the given graph is complete graph, that means a complete graph is one that has a edge between every pair of nodes. That means this is the that means here A, B, C. A complete graph is one that has an edge between every pair of nodes. Suppose you can take like this. Okay. Now you can say that this is a complete graph. Suppose you can take A, remaining all these three nodes, here edges exist. Suppose you can take B, remaining A, C, D, there is an edge. Suppose you can take this one, this is not complete. So this is what the complete graph. Okay. And weight graph. Suppose sometimes graph is like this, 5 and C, 4, 5. So now it is called as a weighted graph. So now what is a cycle? Cycle means what? A cycle is a path that begins and ends at the same node. That means here A, B, C, now D here. A, B, C, D, A. Begins here and ends here. So this is nothing but cycle. A cyclic graph nothing but there is no cycles. That means A is here, B is here, C. Now this is a acyclic graph. An acyclic connected graph is also called an unrooted tree. That means an acyclic connected graph is also called an unrooted tree. Means this is called as a tree. That means here too, this is, suppose you can observe this is a true root. So from here, here. Otherwise this is, you can observe this is a root from here, here. Or suppose you can observe this is a root from here to here and here to here. That's why this acyclic graph is also called as unrooted tree. So this is also called as unrooted tree. Next, graph properties. That means number of edges. Here in the undirected graph, the number of possible pairs of n vertices, how many, that means the number of possible pairs in an n vertex graph is n into n minus 1. Okay, that is possible pairs. How many number of possible pairs are there? Suppose you can observe here. Suppose here A, B, C, D. This is some graph. So here 4 vertices are there. How many number of possible that means A to B is one edge and B to C is one edge and C to D is one edge, D to A is one edge, A to C is one edge and B to D is one edge. These are the maximum edges. Okay, this is for the complete graph. So that how many number of possible pair of edges, that is n into n minus 1, means you can observe here 4 into 4 minus 1, that is 12, means A to B one edge and B to A is one edge. That means A to B, B to A to C, C to A, as well as A to D, D to A. That means here 3, here 3, here 3, here 3. So the total how many possible pair of edges are there? Possible pair of edges equal to 12. That is, if it is contains n vertices, possible pair of edges or possible pairs are n into n minus 1. Okay, this is one point. And one more point is how many number of edges. Pairs is different and edges are different. Because this is the undirected graph, number of pairs are double. That means A to B is one pair and B to A is one pair. But coming to the edge, A to B is only one edge. That means for counting the edges, we can count only one time. For coming to the pairs, we can count as 2 times. So that how many number of pairs are there? That is n into n minus 1 by 2. Okay, n into n minus 1 by 2. So this is what? 12 divided by 2, 6 edges. Suppose you can count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So total how many number of edges are possible? N into n minus 1 by 2. Total pairs are possible n into n minus 1. And one more point. So this is for undirected graph only. So this property for undirected graph only. Okay. And coming to directed graph. So here number of edges. that is the number of possible pairs in an in vertex graph is n into n minus 1. That means pair of vertices are same, n into n minus 1. And coming to the maximum number of edges are n into n minus 1. Why? Because n into n minus 1, because this is what the undirected, this is what the directed graph means. A to B and B to C, C to D and D to A. So opposite direction also there. Okay, so this is what the opposite direction. Now you can observe here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, total 10, that is n into here total total 12, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So this is double, that's why you can count as twice. That means 10 plus 2, 12. So total 12. That means how many number of possible pairs? N into n minus 1 possible pairs, and number of edges also n into n minus 1. That means maximum edges, minimum 0, maximum edges are n into n minus 1. That means maximum edges. Here number of edges 0 less than or equal to edges less than or equal to n into n minus 1. That means maximum n into n minus 1. Next, so how these graphs are represented? So for graphs, representation of graphs, for graphs to be computationally useful, they have to be conveniently represented in programs. So how these graphs are represented? So we know that for the stacks are represented by using the arrays as well as the linked list, whereas coming to the queues also it represented by using arrays, that is the static representation, and coming to the dynamic representation, that is linked list concept, whereas trees also represented by using arrays as well as linked list. Okay, whereas coming to the graphs, so these also represented in two ways. Those are adjacency matrix and adjacency list. So coming to this adjacency matrix, this is a sequential representation or static representation. Okay, adjacency list in the sense this is a linked list representation. Here pointers are used, means linked list is used here. Here array is used. For representing the graph by using adjacency matrix, arrays are used. For representing the graphs by using adjacency list, here linked list are used. This is the pointers concept. So this is the arrays concept. So this is the static representation or sequential representation. This is the linked list representation. Now see one by one here. So first adjacency matrix. So what is the adjacency matrix? Here adjacency matrix is a square grid of Boolean matrix. So this is a square matrix. So the square matrix contains only zeros and ones. So that's why this is called as a square grid of Boolean values. Means it contains only zeros and ones. Okay. If the graph contains n vertices, then the grid contains n rows and n columns. That means if the graph contains 4 nodes, that adjacency matrix contains 4 columns as 4 rows. So for 2 vertices numbered I and j, suppose if you can give the numbers for those vertices I and j, so there is an edge exists from I to j, then you can place 1 the intersection of ith row and jth column. That means that cell, that is nothing but ith row and jth column intersection is called as a cell. So that cell contains, if there is an edge exists between I to j, you can place it 1, otherwise 0. Otherwise 0. Suppose you can observe here, this is adjacency matrix. Here 5 vertices are there, 1 to 2 and 5 vertices. So that 5 columns and 5 rows. So if the edges exist, you can place here 1, otherwise 0. So if edges exist from 1 to 1, there is no edge, that's why 0. Here edges exist from 1 to 2, here 1. So from 1 to 3 edge is there, from 1 to 4 edge is there. So there is no edge from 1 to 5. So that's why 0 here. Suppose coming to here 2 to 1 there is edge, and 2 to 0 2 there is no edge, 2 to 3 there is no edge, 2 to 4 edge is here, 2 to 5 there is no edge. Okay, coming to the 3, 3 to 1, 3 to 4, 3 to 5. So that 3 to 1, 3 to 0, 3 to 2 0, 3 to 3 0, 3 to 4, 3 to 5. Coming to the 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. So that means 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, now coming to the 5, only 3 and 4 remaining are zeros. So 3 and 4 remaining all are zeros. So this is what the, if there is edge exists, so then you can place that intersection is 1, otherwise 0. Now this is what the adjacency matrix for undirected graph. So that's why 1 to 2 edge is there, 2 to 1 edge is there. So here how many number of ones are present here? That means if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here 7 vertices are there, 7 edges are there. How many ones are here? 14. Because here 1 to 2 1 edge and 2 to 1 1 edge. So that's why every edge is count it as a 2 times. So that's why 7 edges are there in this adjacency matrix. 14 ones are present. Now coming to the adjacency matrix for the directed graph. So if a direction is there, suppose here 1 to 4 there is a direction, you can place it as 1. That means suppose you can observe this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Here you can observe 1 to 4, 1 edge is there. Suppose 1 to 2, how many number of edges are there? 1, 2, 3. So that you can write here 3. Okay. And suppose here coming to here 2 to 1, how many number of edges? There is no edges. So that's why here this is 0. And coming to the 2 to 1 edge, and 2 to 3, 2 edges. 2 to 4 there is no edges. And coming to here 4 there is no edges. To 1, to 2, to 3. So for these 3, here there is no edge to 1, there is 1 edge to 2, and there is 2 edges to 3, this is, and there is no edge to 4. So this is what the adjacency matrix for directed graph. And the next adjacency list representation. So in adjacency list, suppose if the graph contains 5 nodes, it contains 5 lists, and each and every list is stored in some array. That means if it contains 5 nodes, 5 adjacency lists are there, and 1 array. That means in an adjacency list, the n rows of the adjacency list are represented as n linked list. That means how many number of vertices are there, that many number of linked lists are present. So one list for vertex of the graph. So here each and every list is per vertex. A graph of n nodes is represented by one dimensional array of linked list, where L of I is a linked list containing all the nodes adjacent from node I. Okay, so the nodes in the list Li are no particular order, so whatever order you can take. Okay, for weighted graph, the list contains number of nodes, and each and every node contains one more part also, that is for weight. Here you can observe this is some graph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 linked lists are there. From 1 to 2 is there, and 1 to 3 is there. From 2 to 1 is there, 2 to 3 is there, 2 to 4 is there. 2 to 1 and 3, 4. And coming to the 3, 3 to 1, 3 to 2, 3 to 5. Coming to this 4, 4 to 2, 4 to 1, 4 to 5. And coming to this 5, 5 to 4, 5 to 3. Okay, so this is what the adjacency list for undirected graph. So for this directed graph, just directions, that means 1 from 1 to 2, 1 to 2 and 1 to 3. For this 3, 3 to 2 only. Okay, for 2 only 1. So for 4, 3 and 5. For 5, 2 and 4. And here similar to tree traversals, that is a pre-order, post-order and in-order traversals, graph also has two traversal mechanisms. So it means each and every vertex visit exactly once in the graph. So for that, here two traversals are there. One is the graph. Some algorithms are required that every vertex of a graph be visited exactly once. That is, the order in which the vertices are visited may be important. Okay, and they depend upon the particular algorithm. So here two traversals are there. One is a depth first search and other one is a breadth first search. Okay, coming to this depth first search, at the vertex V of a graph G has a start vertex and V is marked as visited. Okay, then each unvisited vertex adjacent to V is searched first. Okay, using the DFS recursively. So once all the vertices that can be reached from V have been visited, the search of V is complete. So if some vertices remains unvisited, we select one vertex, one of the unvisited vertex as a new start vertex and then repeat the process until all the vertices are visited. So now see the example here. So this is one example. Now suppose here you can observe this is the graph. So depth first search algorithm use the data structure as stack. So here use data structure as stack, that is DFS use stack data structure. So first here this is the graph. So first you can take one vertex as the starting vertex. Suppose you can observe here one is the starting vertex. Suppose and write here the stack, here 1. So first you can write the output sequence like this. First visited vertices, vertex 1 and then next this is visited. You can observe this as a visited. Okay. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 8, 8 to 2 like this. And here this is 7 and 5 and from 4 to here there is no edge from 8 to 4 and 5 to 6. Suppose 1, this is visited. Okay. Now 1 to 2 and 1 to 8. First you can store here 2, 2 and after that 2. Next here so first here first 1 is visited, then from 1 to 2 and 1 to 8 there is an edge. 1 to 2 and 1 to 8 there is an edge. Now here first you can visit 1 and after that 2. So now you can make this as visited. So here you can take 2. After that you can place here 3. Now you can visited this right here 3. So from 3 to 8 as well as 3 to 4 is there. So first you can take here 4 and now you can write here 4. Okay. After that this 4 is visited. So from this 4 here the next from this 4 next here 7 is there. Okay. So 7 is there and 9 is there. So first you can choose 7. Here 7 is visited. For this 7, after this 7 is visited. From this 7 8 is there, 5 is there. So out of these two, first you can choose the 5 first as your wish first, but here I am choose the 5 first. Now the 5 is visited. So from this 5, now here the 5, so no element is popped here. You can observe first. So from this 5, first 6 is visited. Okay. So here 5 to 6 is 8. Now 6 is visited. After that 6 is popped. So because there is no another element, that means 5 is already, that means from 6, 5 has some edge, but this 5 is already visited. So that first you can pop this one. Okay, then next 5. So from 5, 7 is there, but this 7 already visited, so that 5 is popped. Now coming to this 7. So before popping, suppose here you can observe 4 and 8. From these two, only 4 is visited, but if 8 is not visited, so that here 8 is placed. Here 8 is placed. Okay. The top element is here what? 8. So that here 8 is displayed. And after that 8 is removed, because 1 is already visited, 2 is already visited, 3 is already visited, means this is already in the stack. So that this 8 is removed. Okay. Popped. Then next 7. So 7, 8 and 4 is also visited. Now this is popped out. And coming to the 4. So before popped, first can observe 3 and 9. So 3 is visited, and now this is not visited. This is unvisited. So that 9 is here. Okay. So now the top element is what? 9. Okay. Now this is, and next this. So this is what the output sequence. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5, 6, 8, 9. So here see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5, 6, 8, 9. So this is for the DFS. So for implementing DFS, here stack is used. Now coming to the another algorithm, that is breadth first search. So in breadth first search, all the unvisited vertices are adjacent to I are visited after visiting the start vertex I and marking it as visited. So next, the unvisited vertices adjacent to these vertices are visited, and so on until the entire graph has been traversed. So from the starting node, we follow all the paths first. Okay. So first one is based on the depth, second one is based on the path. So now then we follow the paths here, then we follow the paths of lengths 2 that go to unvisited nodes. So continue this until all the unvisited vertices are make it to visited. Now see the example for this. So same example here 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 8, here 7, next 4, next 5, next 6. Suppose see here. So for this breadth first search, first can for this breadth first search use the data structure as cube. Okay. Now from 1, so you can choose the starting vertex as 1, and next you can make it as, mark it as visited. Now output is 1, remove this one. So here from this one which are adjacent, so those you can store in the cube, inserted into cube. 2 and 8. So first you can remove this one, and before removing, first you can insert the elements which are adjacent to this node 2, 3 and 8. So 8 already here, just you can store here 3. Okay. Now 8. After before removing this 8, first you can observe which elements are adjacent. That means from 8 here 8 to, suppose 8 to 3 is also there. 8 to 3, 3 is already visited, 1 is there, already 2. So all these 3 are visited. Now one more is there, that is what? 7. So now you can place here 7. Okay. After that 3, before removing this 3, first you can insert the elements into Q which are adjacent. So one is 4, that is one is 8 and 2 4. 2 and 8 already visited, and just you can insert 4. Okay, now write here 3. Now 7. So from this 7, so adjacent nodes are 4, 8, 4, 5. So 8 and 4 already in the queue. 8 is visited and 4 is also visited, and now the new element is 5 stored into here. Now 7 is here. Next 4. So coming to this 4, which elements are adjacent? That is 3, 7, 9. So 3, 7, so 9 is not visited. Now you can place here 9 and 4 is here. Now 5. So coming to the 5, here this is the 5 from 5, 7 and 6. So 7 already visited. Okay. Next 6. So store here 6. So 5 is here. Next 9. So from 9 only 4 is there, that is already visited. So that 9 is removed here. So 6. So from 6 only one element is adjacent, that is a 5. 5 is already visited. So that 6 is removed. Now this is the breadth first search. 1, 2, 8, 3, 7, 4, 5, 9, 6. This is for the BFS. Okay. So this is what the graph traversals. Now next concept is spanning tree. We know that the spanning tree is a connected graph with no cycles. So a spanning tree is a subgraph of G that has all the vertices of G but edges are less. So a minimum spanning tree is means what? It is a weighted graph G, that is this is also spanning tree whose edges sum is minimum. Now see here, this is the tree and this is one spanning tree, this is one spanning tree. So from these spanning trees, so C is the minimum one because you can add 2 plus 4, 6, 5, 11, 14. Here you can add, that is 20. So here 14, the cost that's add these all weights, it is a 14 only. Now here it is 20. So that C is the minimum one. So this is the graph, this is the spanning tree and this is also spanning tree. Means here suppose you can observe here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here also 5 vertices and coming to the edges are less. So edges are subset are equal to this one and vertices are equal to this one. So that type of graphs are called as a spanning trees. So what is the minimum? Suppose if the weights are given, so by finding this one, this is one spanning, this is one spanning. So that whose sum is minimum, that is a minimum spanning tree. So for finding the minimum spanning tree also we have two algorithms. One is the Prim's algorithm and other one is the Kruskal algorithm. So if that means if there is no Prim's and Kruskal's algorithm, this is a difficult one. That means number of spanning trees are there, then you can find out each and every one sum. After that, this is what the minimum you can find out. So it takes the time, so that these algorithms are very much useful. So now we have discussed those algorithms. One is the Prim's and other one is the Kruskal's algorithm. So these Prim's and Kruskal's algorithms, that means while forming that we need the single component. Okay, that means there is no multiple number of components, only single component is there. That is the connected graph anedi we need. That means Prim's algorithm starts from one vertex and grows the rest of the tree by adding one vertex at a time. Okay, by adding the associate edges. So this algorithm builds a tree iteratively adding the edges until a minimum spanning tree is obtained. So that is when all the nodes are added. Okay, all the nodes are added along with the minimum cost. At each iteration it adds the current tree a vertex. So for current tree add the new vertex which has some edge with the minimum weight. Okay, so that is what the Prim's algorithm. So this is what some tree suppose starts with 1, 1 to 2 and 1 to 4. So 1 to 2, 11 is there. So that's why first this is selected 1 to 2. From 2 to, so this is the tree. For this add one more edge, that is 2 to 4, 2 to 5 or 2 to 3. So out of this 2 to 4, 2 to 5, 2 to 3, 2 to 3 is minimum. So that add this one 2 to 3. So after that for 3 to 6 and 2 to 5, 3 to 5 and 1 to 4 and like this. So out of this, so 1 to 4 is the minimum. So that 1 to 4 is takes. The next 4 to 5. So while forming some graph, suppose you can observe here, suppose 2 to 5, you can take here 2 to 5. So here some cycle is exists, so there is no cycles, so that's why you can leave this edge. Okay, this is what the pins, that means 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 1 to 4, 4 to 5, next 4 to 7, means this is 4 to 5, 33 is already there, 4 to 7, 40, that means this we can take, and 7 to 6, so this is what 33. So this is what the Prince algorithm. And coming to the Kruskal algorithm, this is another way. So here first construct the number of components, and after that you can combine all these components, make it one single connected component. So in Prince algorithm we start with one connected component, add a vertex, so every time we have only one connected component, whereas in minimum Kruskal's algorithm, here number of components, that means if 7 vertices are there in the graph, 7 components are there. Okay, all the 7 components you can reduce it to one component. So that is what the Kruskal's algorithm. Now see here in the Kruskal's algorithm, first you can see here 7 components, and make it single components. First you can observe from 1 to 2. So this is the minimum one, so that add this one. So after that 2 to 3, this is the minimum one, you can add this one. So now 1 to 2 first, now next one. So 1 to 3, that means 1 to 2 H, 2 to 3. 1 to 2, 2 to 3 is added. Okay, the next 3 to 4. So there is no 3 to 4. So that 3 to 4 is not added. 4 to 5 is there. So this is added. Okay, 4 to 5. That means here 7 components, here 6 components, here 5 components, here 1, 2, 3, 4 components. So here 1, 2, 3 components. So 4 to 5, after that 6 to 7. Here 3 components. So here 5, here 3 components. So from these 3, 1, 2, 3, here one edge, that is 1 to 4. So that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those 5, all these 2 are single component. Now 6, 7. So here 2, 5 is there. So that this is rejected, because 2, 5 is, you can take this 2, 5, here cycle is formed, so that 2, 5 is rejected. Now 4, 7, this is added, so that this is a single component. So here number of components are make it into single component, that is in Kruskal's algorithm. So these are the graph applications. So this in the computer science, graphs are used to represent the flow of computation. So this is also used in Google Maps, and these are also used in the social network for Facebook, and this also used in World Wide Web, that means from which page to which page is open. And in operating system, this graph where the each that means every graph we can treat it as one process, and resources, how this process can use some resource, that is also represented by using these graphs only. Here some questions, MCQs are there. These type of questions are come into the competitive exams. The number of elements in adjacency matrix 7, that is 7 into 7, 47. Here how many number of zeros are present? Here 1, 2, 3, that means 6. 6 edges are there, only 6 ones. And how many number of vertices here? 1, 2, 3, 4. That means total how many number of Boolean values are there? 16. Out of these 16, only 6 are ones. So remaining 10 are zeros. That's why the answer is A. So a graph with all vertices have equal degree is known as complete graph. Okay. So this is what about graph. Thank you.